Hey everybody, today's video is brought to you by the smart folks at Policy Genius. November is here. It's my favorite month of the year. Thanksgiving time, turkey, noodle pudding, that's a Jewish Thanksgiving thing, cranberries, the month leading up to my birthday, and in your case, being thankful for new ways to bundle your home and auto insurance with Policy Genius. These guys are, in fact, geniuses because they can reshop your home and auto policies, bundle them together, and save you money for substantially similar or nearly identical coverage to what you're getting now. Policy Genius makes it easy to compare home and auto insurance in one place, helping you find home and auto coverage similar to what you have now, but at a lower price. They've saved customers an average of $1,250 per year over what they were paying for home and auto insurance. And they've saved new customers an average of $350 per year on home insurance and $435 per year on auto insurance. Their team will handle the paperwork to set up your new policy or switch over your current one. Getting started is easy. Just head over to policygenius.com/TheSmokingTire or hit the link in the video description. Answer a couple of quick questions about your property and yourself, and the folks at Policy Genius take it from there. They'll compare rates from America's top insurers, from Progressive to Allstate, and see if they can find ways to save you money, including by bundling your home and auto policies. And if they do, they will switch you over, handling all the legwork for free. Their 5-star service has earned thousands of positive reviews across Trustpilot and Google. So head over to policygenius.com/TheSmokingTire or click the link in the video description. Policy Genius. When it comes to insurance, it's nice to get it right.
Morning, everybody. Welcome to the 2022 Audi RS7, a resistance against the crossovers and the fast crossovers,
Yes.
which I'm a big fan of.
You may not have a sedan, you may not have a wagon, but we'll give you a luxury hatchback with a massive trunk.
I like wagons and sedans. Do you have something in the middle? Like, wow, you're high maintenance.
I actually,
I'm a fan of
I would rather have this than the sedan, but mechanically, RS7 identical to the RS6 Avant, which for this audience, the wagon is where it's at.
That's true. We're big wagon fans. I mean, this has, reduced trunk space, but it's got a cool shape to it. I think it has an amazing presence. I think it looks super.
Yeah, it's a cool car, and it's got a hot powertrain.
Yep.
4-liter twin turbo V8, the corporate RS motor of today. 8-speed automatic, obviously quattro all-wheel drive, with a 48-volt mild hybrid system. Now, these mild hybrid systems are, I think, really, really great. Actually, I'm into them because you can't drive on the hybrid, right? You can't drive in EV mode, but what they do is, by running the accessories on the hybrid system, running the power steering on the hybrid system, basically when it's hot out and the car turns off, the air conditioning stays on.
Yeah.
Which, when you live in Southern California and you've been driving on a hot day, you're in traffic in certain cars without this system, the car comes to a stop and all of a sudden warm air is blowing out. And you're like, but it's still 100 degrees out there. Like,
and if you're parking, you come to a stop and you want to turn the wheel.
Right.
It doesn't have to go off and then on again.
Correct.
Like, you can actually steer the wheel, which is really, really nice.
The steering doesn't lock like it does in a non-mild hybrid system. And you have a much smaller battery pack that doesn't really, feel like you're lugging around a giant hybrid.
No, I mean, this is a heavy car. It's like 5,000 pounds.
Yeah,
but
it's
it doesn't feel like they put
4,900
a 1,000-pound
and change,
battery into it or something like
right.
that.
But 591 horsepower, 590 torque, 6,250 is your peak horsepower, and 2,000 is your peak torque. So you got a nice wide power band. Zach, let's talk about the rest on the road.
I just turned it off.
Oh, yeah.
Which brings up something. I think this car
quiet.
is a little too quiet for
It is
an RS
quiet.
car, but we'll put it in RS2 mode.
RS mode. It's got a hot button on the steering wheel for that. And you're in sport automatic gearbox.
And our suspension is in which setting? We have our drive
I
select.
put it in dynamic before.
Okay.
Probably still in dynamic. This car, like the RS6, is available with 2 different suspensions. Really gets up and goes. 0 to 60,
really
3.0 quarter mile, 11.3 at 122.
11.
4,900 pounds doing an 11.3.
Amazing.
That's basically Porsche 997 turbo numbers right there.
That is so crazy.
Which for a car that weighs, 1,500 pounds more than that car. Very impressive.
Very impressive defiance of physics.
Yeah. And 22-inch wheels with P0 285 tires. Optional ceramic brakes, but this doesn't have it. And what that means is our top speed will be limited to 155.
Oh, no.
If we had the ceramics, it would allow us to go 190.
Yeah.
So your speed governor is related to which brakes you bought. And of course, what that means is the aftermarket would be able to flip that toggle switch, I am certain.
Off the bat, in the twisties, I noticed the steering is a bit numb. I mean, that's how I found it in town. It's very light.
Yes.
And what I like about this car is it feels luxurious in a way. Like it feels like the M5 and the E63 are the teenagers, and this is the dad.
Yeah.
Like it's a little softer than those cars, but it'll follow them in the corners, and it'll be like 5 minutes behind. You'll be like, oh, I remember when I liked Apexing and drifting too. It can't do those things.
With the air suspension, because I drove the RS6 with the air suspension and the dynamic ride, and I actually, if I was spending $120,000, I would want the air suspension.
Oh yeah.
Like if you're in Germany with perfect tarmac or somewhere with really, really good tarmac, the dynamic ride is a little bit sharper, but the air suspension has an enormous spread between comfort and sport.
It floated over like the cracks and everything in LA, and what worked for me really well is the adjustable height. I could raise it to get into my crazy driveway, no problem, and it stayed up when I parked it, so I could get the nose over the curb to get in the parking space more.
Speaking of that, you know what this car does really well is it remembers where you left it. Not like location-wise. I mean, like when I got out of the car the other day, I had my cooled seats on. When I got back in it, they were still on, like 6 hours later. There's probably a period of time where if you left it long enough, it would revert. But like, I don't, if I have a setting I like, I don't always want to go back to that every time I get in the car. So the car will remember where you left it. Negative G. No, it handled that very well.
It does. It's got a good duality to it. It's got a lot of different abilities, and I'm a big fan of that. And I think the interior is gorgeous. It looks modern to futuristic.
Yeah.
The screens are super bright and easy to use. And normally I hate piano black plastic, but I think it's because cheaper cars do it and it scratches up really easily. And this car has like 6,000 miles on it, and this stuff looks brand new.
Yeah.
So it looks really nice in here.
They also have this textured woven carbon on the dash and doors, which I think is very cool. Audi's lighting designers are G. Like this car does a fucking Tron dance when you come near it with the headlights and the tail lights, and there's these beautiful little glowing elements. Even the seatbelt receivers.
Isn't that brilliant?
The seatbelt receivers have a glowing ring around them, so like, I don't know if it actually helps you put the seatbelt on or not, but what it does do is it makes me like feel like there's a little extra in there.
Yeah.
Are we gonna? This is where we've reached a movie set.
Yeah, we'll trade.
Welcome to Los Angeles, where you just have movie sets. I drive. When you roll up to a movie set base camp in Los Angeles in a car like this, the security guard immediately thinks you're a VIP.
He thinks for somebody.
He thinks you're the EP or something.
Well, it's because we ignored the parking directions and we just pulled up. We're like, I'm gonna leave it here. Take care of it. I have to go to a shot right now.
Oh man, I didn't find this in my reading, but this has rear steer, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The RS6 certainly has rear steer.
It has to.
The turning radius is great. It's got to have rear steer. All right, so I'm in manual. You went auto.
It's so quick. It's so quick.
The tuning of this 8-speed gearbox is very, very good. Really, I mean, even if we'll see if it goes up at redline, but the shifts are really, really smooth, really responsive to the paddles.
Which you'd expect. I mean, they've been making iterations of this 4-liter twin-turbo drivetrain in so many performance vehicles that we like. I wonder if this is the same trans as the Urus has. Same engine.
It's a version of it, yeah.
Yeah. Whee! It softens everything up really well without being too firm. Because I remember you and some other people were talking about how the RS6, it was just a little too firm over a lot of the roads here.
Yeah.
And that it's hard to make a large sporting luxury sedan because we want it to be a performance vehicle, but we don't want it to be so brutal that it makes us think of our track car that we have at home also, or our GT3 RS that's in the driveway.
You can't manage weight without firmness. I mean, the physics of that, you know, the best riding sports cars are very light ones, right?
Yes.
Man, the power though.
So good.
It's got so much power. I like the firmness of the brake pedal too. These aren't even the ceramics, and the brake feel is excellent.
Yes.
The steering wheel the wheel itself is lovely, but the weight of the steering is, it's not like I want heavier steering, but it feels video gamey. It's not a lot, there's not a lot of connection to the front tires.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of cars today that are using weight to simulate feel.
Yeah.
And it's not working. It doesn't work for me, at least.
Mach-E GT.
Yeah, exactly. The other car we have here today has that problem.
But the pace is extraordinary.
Yeah, this is what I want from like a luxury performance sedan, is that straight line speed, lovely interior, and you know, enough performance to not hate being on a canyon road going to like my chalet or something, but I don't want to get beat up on the way the old M5 used to be too stiff, or the E63.
I mean, I love the comfort mode in this car. Driving up here in this on the highway, it was super cushy.
It's very nice.
I mean, you could sustain 120 miles an hour for hours and hours and hours and hours with that comfort mode.
Yeah, and get out feeling rested.
Yeah.
The only thing, like, it sounds good outside, it's just a little too quiet inside. I feel like you don't... What?
So you have a 2-mode exhaust. So right now is as loud as it gets.
Mm-hmm.
So in regular mode, it's very, very quiet.
Yeah.
And in sport mode, it's kind of where I want it to be most of the time. And I wish it had one mode that was little bit louder.
That would be nice. 3-mode.
3-mode. That would be cool. Regular, open, and then dump. You know,
that'd be sweet.
Dump. Also, like, let's see if it does it here. Like, as I brake and go into a corner, it's sort of, something strange happens. I mean, it must be the electronic torque vectoring. As you go from brake to gas in the middle of a corner, it has, like, the slightest bit of, like, unnaturalness to it.
Like it's tucking the back in?
Like it's tucking the back in, and so
it might be dragging that brake?
Yeah, like it's just, there's definitely a computer that does something right in between those inputs, and I can't quite put my finger on what it is, but I know it's a computer's work.
And it's not the rear steer?
No, it's not that. The rear steer is actually pretty seamless.
Yeah, you don't really notice
it. It's more like the power shifting than the steering itself.
Got it.
Over on this side of the road, which is bumpier, I can really feel the you know.
And we are in dynamic.
Yeah, we're in the stiffest, highest performance.
But I mean, driving on the highways with this thing, even going over cracks and stuff like this in comfort mode, it almost isolates it completely.
Oh, it's delightful.
It's so good.
So, like, for me, this is, I wouldn't buy this specifically to run canyons, and I said the same thing about the RS6. This is ultra high performance daily driver, click off a lot of miles in real comfort. You know, we had I'm 6'3", my father's 6'5", and we had my wife, you know, we were in the front, we had my wife and my mother in the back. It was pretty comfortable for that. We did a bunch of driving in this thing, you know, all together. And even though the trunk isn't as big as the RS6 because it's the hatchback,
perfect for traffic cones though. It's
got a big. It's like it's deep and wide. Like you can't stack things to the ceiling, but like it is substantially bigger than it looks like it will be from the outside.
It's like a truck bed. Like if you slide something all the way to the front of it, you're gonna have to like lean over like a rower.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and this thing is, it really, integrates technology into a gasoline powertrain type of vehicle really well.
Yeah, and I like the haptic feedback on the settings, which you can turn off if you don't like it, and you can do quick taps. But I like having that confirmation.
Yeah, the touchscreen is pretty responsive, and more importantly, is if I want to scroll through stations, there's a really good scrolling menu on the in this cluster, so you don't have to deal with tap 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 tap.
And the buttons on the wheel are buttons.
Yes.
Even though these are capacitive.
Yeah,
haptic.
You should not have capacitive on the wheel.
That's
the buttons on the wheel should be buttons.
Smartly done.
I mean, obviously, for 120 grand, this is a sick ride. You know, if it's me or you or probably most of you, wagons are cool.
Yeah.
You know, but we live in Los Angeles where people, even cool people, don't want to be seen driving a wagon
unless it's lifted.
So I understand why people might want this, but for me, wagon or bust. But that's just a preference. But thank you to Audi for letting us have a go for a week. This thing is pretty rad.
Yeah,
I'm a fan for sure. Thanks to you guys for watching, and we'll see you later.
And remember, always fight your tickets. Use code TST10 on the Off the Record app, available in the Android and iOS store, or go to offtherecord.com/TST.